It was growing on me that I had had a hard time with the ladies, to employ the term in a liberal sense, all my life. There had been no consolation from or with my mother. Lily had nearly destroyed me. Two women, pawns in a big political game, had been used to try to destroy me. Women I never knew accused me of searing their children. I was candidly disillusioned with the opposite sex, much as I needed the female of our species, biologically speaking. It might surprise people to hear there have even been months, ladies and gentlemen, months at a time, when I was a celibate. If women are going to dominate me all the days of my life, that thought hammered through my mind often, resentfully. This led me to make an experiment that confirmed my thinking, curious about what women discuss when they are by themselves, or or what they might talk about in the specific atmosphere of the can. I bugged the ladies' room at Mulholland during a party while the men were in one room and the women were where they were. Their words came to our ears. My God, what I heard. The things I learned about myself and my friends were astonishing. These lovely ladies came out with the frankest talk. They said what they wanted to say when they thought they were alone. I couldn't figure why the ladies' toilet bred such confidence, one woman for another, but it did. I learned more about myself in 10 seconds, the time it took to put a toilet seat down, than in a year in any other way. And such language. Any notion that a woman's mind is nobler, purer, higher, more decent, cleaner, or anything else gentler or superior to a man's is pure delusion. What goes into the human mind, male and female, is no more or less than what is all around us, and the female mind takes it in and digests it and handles it and works with it just as the male mind does. I claim, without any chest beating, that I can tell a woman's motive if she is pleasant to me almost within an hour. I have a pretty clear picture of what she is out to get. They have a better survival mechanism than their brothers, and if, as a matter of fact, this is a world of the survival of the fittest, women will certainly survive. This business of a woman's mind being a mystery is a lot of crap to me. Perhaps I have had a special kind of experience with women. Perhaps because women have often been aggressive with me, taking the initiative, openly wanting to hang my scalp on their belts. Perhaps because of this type of experience, I've been able to get an insight into feminine nature denied to others. You can read all the books, articles, stories that indicate women want and need attention, that this is one of the main things they expect and need from a man. Nuts. If there is one thing they like better than personal attention, I'd say it was this. The man who for a woman fits the bill is the one who pays the bill. We are all dependent upon some love and affection, no matter what form it takes. And I'm not denying the part of love, warmth, human feeling in personal relationship. It is there, it's real. I'm just saying that in the war between the sexes, dollar bills change hands. A sorry conclusion, but that has been my experience. It goes for wives, mistresses, ladies of the street, all of them. You may think they love your deep dark eyes, or your little beady red rimmed eyes, whatever you have. But that is the conclusion I have come to. They are as interested in dough as they are in what they eat, and where they live. Because they are one and the same. That may be only human, and it may be right or wrong. But thinking that women are out for some rare romanticism is bull. I've had mistresses who put the bite on me from early morning till late at night, and the following day there were enough new purchases lying about for me to open a dry goods store. Wives want houses. They call it love, but it spells House. In the theater, the play's the thing. In real life, the thing is the play. I yielded with a smile to the now complete legend of myself as a modern Don Juan. There was even talk about the studio of my playing the part of the Don in a film, and a couple of years later, I did. But when I read the press, I shrank. But when I read the press, I shrank. I was afraid to pick up the daily paper for fear there'd be a story about me. Another of those humorous, snide ones about the great swordsman and the swordsmanship he did on the lot and off. Those yarns made me wince. The reputation of being a great ladies' man produced certain effects on me when I was in the presence of women. I was afraid of this name that I had, and with most ladies, this will come as a surprise. I was hesitant lest I seem the forward, the aggressive person I was by reputation. Gradually, I moved into a condition of despondency that was similar to the panic and self-loathing I had when I escaped Lily and ran to the Spanish Civil War. There I was, sitting on top of the world. I had wealth, friends. I was internationally known. I was sought after by women. I could have anything that money could buy. Yet I found that at the top of the world there was nothing. I was sitting on the pinnacle, with no mountain under me. Over and over, in my mind, I saw those days in the courtroom. I couldn't wipe away the scenes. The headlines still blared. The word rape went through my thoughts. I now knew that everything in my life dated from before that event and after. 2.5 years had gone by since the trial, but the effect of it was as fresh as if it had just happened. My principal emotion was that I was hoaxed by life, that I had become something other than what I set out to be. Now my name was simply associated with sex. I was the male Mae West, as it were. Me, Errol Leslie Thompson Flynn, son of the respectable biologist, student of Darwin, lover of culture, and nothing that I had wanted had happened. Instead, I was in a swamp of Flynn jokes, dirty stories, snide innuendos. I'd wanted to do something for people, for the human race. As a young man in New Guinea, despite the sharp practice I engaged in, I had also this other side to me, contradictory as it might seem, where I sought causes. Darwin and Huxley were my gods. The great Britons were my symbols. Lord Nelson, my hero. What was I doing with a sword in one hand and a garter in the other? I knew that if and when my true condition was understood abroad, I would, be considered a figure of pathos. How did I ever wander so far afield of my youthful ambitions? What would have happened if I hadn't met the movie man, Swartz, and taken him up the Sepik River and later played Fletcher Christian in a moving picture made in Polynesia? Would I still be a bum in the land down under? Would I have gone on and educated myself and made something of myself in England? That which I had, my big house, my yacht, my bank accounts, seemed hollow. None of these could take the place of self-respect, which I had lost. I know that many who have had a hard time making $5,000 a year will find it strange when I say that I was indifferent to my income of $200,000 a picture, that it meant little, that I was filled with self-disgust. They will say, "Waste no time feeling sorry for him, nor do I ask anyone to feel sorry for me. I'm only explaining why I was ready to blow my brains out. The rich and successful can do this for their reasons as the poor can do it for theirs." I walked through my pictures without interest. Beyond the personal humiliation that stayed with me as a consequence of the trial, there was a constellation of factors that made my professional guts drag. I wonder if you can imagine what it might mean to be the one who believes that, given the chance at good and great roles, he might be able to act, say, like Barrymore, but never to be given the chance, only to be given those surefire box office attractions, entertainment pictures that often didn't even entertain. Action, action, action. I felt used by the studio, used to make money, used by the press for fun, used by society as a piece of chalk provides the world with a dab of color. You don't get the feeling of being a man if you believe the world is treating you in that kind of way. But I didn't run the studios. Producers run them. The money departments of the studios decided what pictures you made. If a stereotype makes money, keep the stereotype alive. Don't make a switch. Don't experiment. Don't pander to an actor's whim that he might like to do something special, different. Keep the sword shiny. Shoe the horse and turn Flynn loose on a new one. I hoped for a few good pictures where I might have the chance to really act, to do something great, that this opportunity might help me to redeem myself for what I had become and for what I was known as. But there was no chance. There was always a schedule to be filled, scripts that came my way from the producers. Do this next. At this time, I worked in several pictures with a director named David Butler. He was an actor who became a director. He sensed my lack of interest. He knew I didn't like my roles, and he adopted my own attitude about getting through a film. Well, Flynn doesn't care. I don't care. Let's get the picture done. My lack of interest showed in my screen portraiture. My lack of interest showed in my screen portraiture. Your inner spirit, no matter what character you're playing, shows. The camera is that powerful. If you have a world on your mind and on your shoulders, if you're distracted, you cannot concentrate as an artist must. Moreover, I was playing youthful and virile roles, cowboys and swordsman roles. And such parts require gusto and genuine inner interest, such as I had felt at the time I was making Captain Blood and Robin Hood. But I no longer felt that way. My second-rate feelings came across in the finished product. Even my screen laughter was different. Not really mine. You can then easily get a reputation for being a poor actor, a mediocre performer. I knew this, yet I couldn't control it. All I could do was become more disconsolate. All my life, the one thing I feared the most was mediocrity, and my whole living effort was to oppose ever being or becoming a mediocrity. I did not wish to live in a mediocre way, nor to be regarded artistically as a mediocrity. This to me was the cardinal sin. To be middling was to be nothing. I had the feeling that I was slipping into professional mediocrity. This alone was enough to make me suicidal. Better to kill yourself, Flynn, than to have them say, "He can't act. He never could." Yet everything that was happening to me was destroying my gifts of feeling, which you have to have in order to act. Feeling was the one thing I had been robbed of in the Los Angeles courtroom. I looked back 10 years. There had been a period after Captain Blood was made when I was living with Lily. I had so much belief in the validity of creation that I had decided to write a book. In a few months, I wrote Beam Ends, the story of a 5-month boat trip from Australia to New Guinea, a documentary account of the trip I made there with the first Sirocco when I was about 20. The book made no great impact in the field of literature, but it answered a need in myself. It dawned on me now that I was beaten as a writer too. That dream had been shattered. I had chosen to be an actor, to make big money, to become famous, and I had put by a deeper yearning to write. Had I made a mistake? Right now, had I made a mistake? Right now, I admired the writers around Hollywood more than I did the actors. I had only added another stone to my pile of confusion. Nothing I dreamed of had matured. I was placing figurative bullets into my soul, and it was only a matter of time before I'd try real ones. I wasn't much of a parent. I had a son and daughter, and I hardly knew them. I was stretched between 2 homes in Hollywood. I was not a success at matrimonial life. I doubted I was any genuine help as a parent to either of my children. A few people around me knew that I was in great personal distress. About this time, Sheila Graham, in a dispatch to the New York Journal American, wrote, Errol Flynn is far from being the happiest man in the world at this point. Not only is his domestic life chaotic, but he has to make a Western as his next movie, and Errol is fed up with Westerns. He doesn't want to be the rich man's Roy Rogers. Nobody knew how seared I was but myself. They liked me as I seemed to be. Mr. Hijinks of Hollywood, fun boy, playboy, handicapper deluxe, fast with his mitts in a bar, clever with the ladies, the world at his feet, and always something funny to say. My smile got broader and broader, so broad that one night I went to a dresser in my bedroom at Mulholland and took out a gun. For hours I sat on the edge of my bed, in darkness, my hands gripped to the handle of the revolver. I sat, thought, felt little, but couldn't bring myself to raise the gun to my head. Very well, no hurry. If not tonight, then tomorrow night. Like an automaton, I went through the motions of work the following day. Home again at night. I answered no phone calls. I ordered that the house be barred to all. I retired to my room again. Once more, I drew the gun out of my dresser. Again, sat on the edge of my bed, utterly dejected. I turned on the lights. If I shot myself with the lights on, I wouldn't miss. That was the one thing I didn't want to do, to have a fiasco. I had heard of a lot of failures. I looked into a mirror. I could see myself aim that way. A good way not to miss. I got fully dressed. I went into the yard behind my house. I put up a tin can a few feet away so as to see whether everything would work well. I aimed carefully, pulled the trigger. There was a click and nothing more. No sound, no bullets. I thought, my God, if I got the guts to do it and a click came out, it would be horrible. Would I be able to do it again? I went into the house and fell into bed. A second night of failure. I had told 2 friends who were thinking of doing this, think it over, and in the morning you'll feel different. I was telling myself this each night, trying to tell myself there were good and sufficient reasons to go on living. The third night, I tried taking a few drinks. Maybe that would help me to get up the necessary guts. I sat on the edge of the bed with the muzzle of the gun directly in my mouth, pointed at the roof of my mouth. I sat that way for quite a while, but couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger. Disconsolation went through me in waves, giving me momentary urges to end it. But there must have been a stronger life force in me than I could emotionally or intellectually resist. It left me with a sense of abandon. I didn't give a damn what I did, where I went, what happened to me. I said to myself, nothing matters now. Do as you damn please. You will get it some other way. Go out with the flash and bang sometime, at sea, in a plane, or doing some daredevil stunt. Anything. But don't drag your nuts, Flynn. Instead of killing myself, I bought a new boat. I would go down to the harbor and take a look at the Sirocco. She had an evil memory for me now, and I had decided to get rid of her. I had made a mistake, one of the gravest errors a mariner can make, in changing her name. A mariner doesn't kill a dolphin, shoot an albatross, or change the name of a boat. I had never been superstitious, but look what happened. I told myself in getting rid of the Sirocco that she was too wet for the sea. Yet I have a sneaking hunch that I had paid off for violating one of the rules of the marine world. Sirocco is a wind that blows across northern Africa. It is the wind that is said to drive men mad. In the French Foreign Legion, they have a saying, he is suffering from la cafard, a form of madness that the legionnaires are apt to get when the wind blows in a certain direction. I had had this yacht with a dangerous name, and a great upheaval had occurred in my life. Without a boat, I felt like a bachelor. I got a craving for another. I said to myself, if I get another, it will be smaller than the Sirocco. But then I came across a picture in some yachting magazine showing a dream boat called the Zaka, a Samoan word meaning peace. She had belonged to the banker Templeton Crocker of San Francisco. She had been around the world twice, and Dr. William Beebe had written in his books about her. She had been pressed into war service. They mounted two 20-millimeter guns on her, fitted her with a complement of about 35 naval men, and she patrolled offshore of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco as an enemy submarine detector. She would patrol under sail for 30 days at a time. When I talk about a boat, all of my aesthetic sense is as alert as when I describe the shape and coloring of some new young lady. For my boats, if anything, are probably fully as important to me as flesh and blood. When the war ended, the Zaka, now painted a navy gray, was dismasted and put up for sale. Surplus operators bought the ship first, and I bought it from them. I employed an experienced mariner, Kingsley Hayward, to look over this boat and see what shape she was in. He went underwater, along the sides, examining the keel before I bought her, and he pronounced her condition good. I had her repainted, re-rigged, remastered. I was working at the studio, and from time to time, I went up to San Francisco to see how Kingsley was doing with her. She was draining my pocketbook. I spent $50,000 to fix her up, but at last she was a dream ready to sail the seas. I did one other thing. When the boat was finished, I said to myself, let her be a symbol of what I have come to represent. I'll fly a crowing rooster for my house flag, and let us crow over the world. In the months that followed the overhauling of the Zaka, I took her out frequently. I took on a larger crew. I changed the motors. I got acquainted with her. A boat is like a horse. Every ship has her own personality, the tricks she does, the foibles she has. Several times in this period, I nearly lost the ship and my own life in many water safaris. At last, I felt I knew this lady and could command her.